Episode of the AI Inside podcast is brought to you by Area. Get started for free today at airia.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the AI Inside podcast. This is the show where we take a look at the AI that is layered throughout the world of technology, like a fried egg sandwich. You got a little mayo, you got a little salt and pepper, some fried egg, maybe a layer of cheese. Oh, sorry, I didn't eat enough for breakfast, apparently. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Howell, joined as always by Jeff Jarvis, who I'm sure ate better this morning than I did.
Well, yesterday I actually had something layered that was pretty disgusting.
Oh,
so
what did you have?
Maybe it could be a metaphor for parts of overdone AI.
Sure.
I tried. I didn't eat all of it. I ate about a third of the McDonald's big arch.
Oh, so, I mean, what's the deal with that? It's just a really big burger, right?
It's a really big burger, and the president of the company did a video supposedly taking the daintiest little bite.
Yes,
in truth,
tiny.
So it's a quarter pound, so it's a half pound of beef, three slices of cheese, lettuce, crinkled onions, and of course a new special sauce. And the problem with it being in layers, since we're talking about layers here, is as you in fact try to eat it, the special sauce is so slippery that the beef patties start slipping out.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah.
Hate that. Unbalanced burger? No.
No. That's why the cheese is there. The cheese is the cement.
It holds it together.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I ate about a third of it because I was not going to eat it all. I mean, I'm anemic right now, so I need beef. That was my argument here. And I can say that I tried it. The bun was pretty good. I'll give it that. But it was just disgusting. I didn't even take a picture of it. It was too unappetizing. It's a disgusting mess left in the box. So yes, AI can sometimes overdo it like a big arch.
Like a burger, it can be overdone.
Yep. The layers just don't hold together and they ooze out.
Yeah. Well, I normally I don't eat McDonald's very often, but I was traveling this week. I was in San Antonio for a cool event called Sponsor Games. And at the airport, there was a McDonald's. So I went there for my dinner on the way back because I was in a hurry.
Yeah.
And I saw that on the menu and I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's too much.
It's $10 too. It's $11.
I mean, fast food isn't cheap anymore. It used to be the cheap solution, and nothing's cheap. That's the thing. Nothing's cheap, Jeff. Well, it's good to see you.
But it's free to watch us, folks. So
that's right. That's right.
Unless you choose to become a sponsor on Patreon, but you'll hear about that momentarily. That's voluntary.
Yes, that's true. It's totally up to you, and we appreciate it deeply. And who knows? Maybe we'll start sending you big arches as our thank you gift.
I suspect it doesn't go bad. It has enough preservatives.
Yeah, we won't actually do that. That's a horrible idea. But apologies for a day late show. Like I said, I was traveling. I didn't get back until like midnight last night, so it was a late night. So we couldn't do the show yesterday. We have it rolling today. Everybody who's watching the live stream, thank you for the kind of stop start, because I think that because I was in Central Time Zone when I scheduled it, it ended up booking it 2 hours earlier. Anyways, we're peeling back the layers of this live show, probably more than most people care about. But so that's what happened this morning. Nonetheless, we're here and we're ready to talk. It looks like we're ready to talk about Nvidia in this top block because, like I said, I was at an event. I didn't get a chance to watch all of the announcements in real time the way I know you did, Jeff. You love following what NVIDIA is
I am
up
a
to
connoisseur of Jensen Huang's keynotes. I watch them
indeed.
all. I'm just amazed by them, about the showmanship, but that's not really it. Because it's not flashy. It's just impressive. He knows his stuff. He has a command of a very complicated topic. Of course, he's in charge of the company. He should. I mean, not too many extra points for that. But it's really impressive how he can explain things clearly. He's a hell of a communicator. The interesting thing about this keynote was for the first hour, it was all context. It was all, what everything that NVIDIA does, everything that's done. And I thought, well, there's nothing new here yet. This is a bit strange. And I thought, well, maybe because Go ahead.
Does the format of GTC kind of follow other, like, let's say, developer conference, right? Like I think of Google I/O, where they've got the big like 1 to 2 hour keynote at the top, and then there's all these smaller events that happen after it.
I think it's 3 days long. There were tons of sessions, tons of people there, all kinds of tracks. But the keynote is supposed to bring it all together. And unlike, let's say, I/O's keynote, which we've both been to and seen, where they come out and they bring out all kinds of people and it's all prepped and
it's bam, 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 bam.
Yeah. And you're watching things like it's out of a radio carousel hitting you, right? At Nvidia, it is Jensen Huang's show, period, full stop. Occasionally, he did this time, occasionally he'll bring out somebody from another company to say hi and then get them off the stage. He'll inevitably bring out a robot or some equivalent, which he didn't this time, to share the stage with, which always doesn't work fully. But it's his show. It's completely his show. So for the first hour, he gave context and background. And what I like about his keynotes too, in general, and he didn't so much do it this time, is that each one has a different lesson that he integrates into it. It's explaining scale or tokens, the tokenization of the economy, or the digital twin, and so on and so on. This time, I think he wanted to explain NVIDIA, because what came at the end then was an important strategic, I wouldn't say shift, but revelation. In the beginning, he wowed the audience and the market when he said, and if I get this right, I hope, that last year he had $500 billion revenue, and he predicted that in 2027 it would be $1 trillion revenue. And the stock went bing and then down again, but it went momentarily,
of course.
Excitedly up.
Reacted,
and so that was news. That was big news that he was saying that. But as he got toward the end, you'll remember that they did a weird deal, not an acquisition, not an acquire, kind of a licensing, but kind of a hire, but kind of an investment in Groq, not that Groq with a Q.
Right.
Which is a chip that was kind of missing from the NVIDIA family. And it starred in the show here because it is the essence of inference. And what was fascinating about the whole show was that at the end, Wong said that this is the age of inference. So let's remember that the Grace Blackwell, the Hopper, the Vera Rubin chips are the ones that are lusted after for training models. And they're still in huge demand and still can't hold up to demand. And there were some stories saying, well, is NVIDIA going to get stuck in the age of training? Because Groq is a chip that enables, and I can't explain it fully, but from what I understand about it when they did the deal originally, is that it enables greater memory access for the process of inference. And that speed and that access is so important. And so he's co-branded the chip, offering the chip out there, offering inference, saying the inference is there. And then out of that, he went OpenClaw crazy. I mean,
and we talked a little bit about that last week.
He dove in the deep end. He dove in the deep end. And the thing was, we kept waiting for it to happen, and then at the end, he really went into it. So they've created, I'm jumping all around our rundown here. I apologize, Jason.
No, it's good.
He created OpenClaw, which is basically, NemoClaw, which is OpenClaw with guardrails. Right. It's enterprise ready. But he sees a world here very clearly where people are going to create like crazy. They're going to do it within companies. He said something very interesting at one point. He talked about compensation to employees, and he said, I want to offer them compensation, money and stock, but I also want to offer them tokens.
Yeah.
What if I gave all my employees,
are the next commodity is something that he said.
Or the next tax-free compensation, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what he intended that to be. Clearly, if you're an employee at NVIDIA and you're building something, you should be given all the tokens you need because you're at NVIDIA and you should do what it is. So is this so people can build their own companies, build their own things in their own lives? I'm not exactly sure, but he's one of his sessions, earlier sessions, was about the economic value of tokens. Tokens is the key to this new economy.
Can I jump forward for just a quick second?
Please do.
Because maybe this is part of it. And let me see if I can pull that up because it's a little bit further in the rundowns, but I'm trying to move it up as we go. There was this talk with Sam Altman where he says we see a future where intelligence is a utility like electricity or water, and people buy it from us on a meter. This is separate. This is just another talk that. But I'm wondering if maybe that's a little bit of the direction that we're going here, which is like tokens, the foundation of so much of what we envision the future to be in technology. It becomes a utility.
I think the contrast is great. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that Huang said it far better than Altman. Huang said there is this commodity, this widget, this entity, economic entity that powers AI, and it's a tokenization of everything. And he's talked about this in the past. He really thinks this way. Whereas Altman said it, I think, very obnoxiously, even odiously, saying that intelligence is something he can own, and he can turn a tap on and off on something that he calls intelligence. And we're going to come back to that topic in a few minutes when I plug my new book series, because one of the first authors talks about this there. That this notion of intelligence and what intelligence is so important. What Altman managed to do in one fell swoop there was to eliminate humanity from intelligence. He eliminated learning and education and thinking and philosophy, and he acted as if intelligence is this commodity that he can own and control and turn on and turn off.
Yes, right.
Huang doesn't say that. He says something that's far more tactical, that there is this electron of information now, electron of computation, which is the token. And interestingly, I thought about this just yesterday. They make money, the models make money both ways. The tokens you put in with your prompt, you pay for. The tokens you get out with the response, you pay for. You pay both ways. Meanwhile, you may be teaching them, maybe doing other things. But so the token maybe I like that better. The token is kind of an electron. It is the thing that traverses this communication. Whereas Altman, I think, said it quite obnoxiously. So, among other things, there was also in the talk Grace Blackwell, which is the current top chip. There'll be an next one coming soon, which he's talked about, the Feynman chip. But Grace Blackwell is wildly powerful. Now it's available in desktop computers. I mean, Mondo desktop computers that you and I can't afford. But this fits in with the NemoClaw, because the advantage and the security necessity of OpenClaw is you need to run it locally. Because if you set this thing loose on your company, watch out. As we saw a few weeks ago, the head of safety and security at Meta, her agent erased all of her email. You don't want to let it loose. You don't want to let it loose with your credit card. You don't want to do certain things, but you do want to be able to create these agents, and it's safest if you run them locally. So to be able to get a Grace Blackwell chip on your desk is really important. So they delivered the first Dell version of this. There's various OEMs to Andre Karpathy, who also, interestingly, last week, I don't think it's in the rundown, he put out the smallest possible version of a model so that you could run it on your own, you could learn with it, you could train it on your own and see what it is. So I think we see a lot of what's happening here is, on the one hand, NVIDIA is supporting the growth of these gigantic data centers, and it's NVIDIA silicon that's at the heart of all of those. And that's obviously going to be necessary for the superscalers. But on the other end of this, we start to see a consumer end that is powered by this through OpenClaw, through NemoClaw, through those kinds of things, which I think is fascinating. One more thing, then I'll shut up.
No, I love it.
Probably a lie. The other thing that occurred to me after watching it, Jason, was that in my world in media, in our world in media, right, you had to have access to the printing press, the broadcast tower. You had to have capital. You had to have tools. You had to have expertise. And obviously, what the internet did and the tools that ride thereupon make it possible for us all to create, ergo, what we're doing right now. Right. Not true with technology in terms of computing. Really, yes, you could write a little basic program. You could do this. You could do that. But AI seemed to be this wildly, hugely powerful thing that you couldn't touch unless you had billions of investment and billions worth of chips. And now I think we see the possibility of this being democratized to the extent you can run something locally. And the guessing is that all laptops are going to get more expensive because all laptops are going to want to run this stuff. And maybe this finally leaves me out with my Chromebook because it doesn't run stuff. So everybody can have these things that they can run locally, and they can just tell it without going to terminal mode. That's what I'm waiting for. I think that's the next big step here, is moving past the need for terminal mode, where you can just say, I want you to do this, and it programs whatever it needs to, and it does it. And I think that's going to be...
we're definitely moving in that direction.
We are
The
absolutely
OSs
moving
are
in that
direction. They're already kind of flirting with that sort of integration as well. Yeah.
So what fascinated me in the end about
maybe not for all the things you're talking about, but
No.
yeah, definitely.
But this is what a Jensen Huang keynote always gets wheels going. In the one hand, his is the ultimate business-to-business company, right? He is serving gigantic companies with the highest end technology we have today. But on the other hand, suddenly there's now a new retail possibility, a new B2C company. Right now, you got to have, $5,000-$6,000 to buy a Grace Blackwell chip on your desk, and you got to know what to do with it. And this could be like the early days. Somebody said in one of the comments on all this, for years and years and years, we were all going to be running Linux. And no mortals are running Linux, just geeks are running Linux, right? And this could be the same way. But the difference here is you don't have to code. And if you can avoid terminal mode and the fright that comes with that for most mortals, and if you can have this power on your desktop to, again, with just language, say, this is what I want you to do, and it does it, that, I see why Wong went kind of crazy at the end about this. So he went about 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. He usually has a pretty chunky, long keynote and incredibly dense, obviously. There's
he started
so
late.
much here.
But God knows somebody backstage was getting eviscerated for a slide not working.
Sure, probably so.
But he went long. The other thing, I was wrong. I lied. There's one more thing. The other argument he was making in the first hour was, and it was very interesting, that if you build a N gigawatt, superwatt, whatever data center, it's limited by its power, and you can't really upgrade that. But what you can do is get faster. And when he talked about the sequence from the Hopper chip to the Blackwell and Vera Rubin chips, he showed how the speed and efficiency of what NVIDIA offers and how it upgrades you all along the way with its operating system and with its tools, and that creates a huge opportunity. And he put forward a business model that says that you're going to have some tokens that are free, always. You go to OpenAI, you go to Gemini, and you're going to do that. But then you're going to see sequences of expense that the market will bear to pay a lot more for those tokens if it can do speed and power and so on and so forth. And that what he's arguing is that your cost of delivering that is going down as the chip's power goes up.
Right.
So he wanted to kind of explain all that and set the stage. I feel like I'm trying to summarize a philosophy talk because that's what is so fascinating about him. And at the end, there's great moments where up from the stage come the chips in the racks and in the things to show. And we don't know what we're looking at. Nobody knows what we're looking at, but everybody's oohing and awing these things because it makes it tangible and real. But what the exciting stuff isn't really the chips. It's what we're going to do with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's a fantastic summary of all of that, almost all of their announcements. But I think one thing that stood out for me kind of reading through and everything is just that NVIDIA has done a really great job in the past handful of years making a strong case around its hardware, around its accelerators and its GPUs and all that. But now with that Claw, with their NemoClaw and everything, they're kind of also making the case for the software side. And maybe that ends up being part of that bridge that you're talking about to the consumer. I think one thing I came across was agentic as a service, and then when I put that into the acronyms, it's basically ASS, which could get you in trouble. But hey, there we go. It's an acronym. What are you going to do? But speaking of the consumer side, this is really interesting because probably before anything, because I was really off the grid. I was really focused at my event, not on tech news at all, on everything that I was there
Money
for.
makes the world go around, the world
Hey,
go around the world.
Content is driven by sponsorship, so I'm learning how to do it. So
God bless God's work.
So if you continue to hear sponsors on this podcast, you'll know that it was money well spent on my end and time well spent. But anyways, I did hear while I was there and checking minimally on news reaction to one of the announcements that happened during the event, and I'm sure Jensen showed this off, on the keynote, which is DLSS 5, which is a neural lighting system on RTX 50 series GPUs. Now, GPUs, we're so used to thinking now in a very short amount of time about GPUs in terms of AI, but NVIDIA's bread and butter prior to this AI moment and repurposing GPUs towards AI was about kind of graphics. It's a graphics processing unit. And so a lot of it had to do with gaming and all that kind of stuff. And so this particular announcement kind of ties back into that, but it's not getting a whole lot of positive reaction from the people who you would imagine would really appreciate it. The DLSS 5 is essentially aiming to improve computer graphics by upresing, basically making computer graphics into photorealistic resolution. So, instead of kind of leveraging higher frame rates in, let's say, a video game that you're playing, it would focus its efforts on upresing the actual imagery that you see. And if you're watching the video version, you can kind of see on the left is, let's say, a more computer-generated sort of thing that we might be used to, and on the right would be the more photorealistic interpretation that hardware is apparently capable of doing, kind of doing this on-the-fly upgrade to photorealism thanks to generative AI. Nvidia says that this is the biggest breakthrough in computer graphics since the debut of ray tracing in 2018. That has been a huge deal for gaming. But I definitely saw a lot of very pointed reaction to it. A lot of people just kind of saying like, no, this is absolutely awful. This is basically, oh, do I not have the ability to swipe it back and forth on this? No, apparently I don't. That this is basically AI slop in video game form. And I don't know. It's an interesting conundrum. Thankfully, you will be able to turn it on and turn it off if you don't care about it. And you are actually, beyond that, if you just absolutely hate it, which I know a lot of people do, you could turn it off. But it's interesting where we're at with this AI slop debate. Because when I look at these two things, I'm like, well, this does look more defined than that. But I think because people know that it was upresed by AI, they're like, no, I don't want it.
Gamers can be so damn persnickety.
Yeah. They're passionate about it.
Yeah, but as I looked at the images, and I think it's about artistic control too, and is the machine going to do what I would do and all that? That's fine. But for someone who cares about making things, it makes it better. It's just clearly aesthetically and realistically better, and it can do it at a decent computing rate. So it's very impressive. I don't think it's anything to lose sleep over. I think it's just one more advance in how people are going to create on these tools with better and better stuff. So I pulled up my notes. I forgot. I should have done that earlier, of course, but I talked about it. Just a couple more things if I can go back before we leave.
Yeah, please.
Go for it. He emphasized how OpenClaw was the most instantly popular open source project ever, and showed charts of the the uptake of Linux and so on and so forth. So I think that's true. Mm-hmm. He said companies are going to have to be asking, "What's your OpenClaw strategy?" I mean, he really embraced this in a way that surprised me. This is, I'm quoting, "This is as big a deal as HTML. This is as big a deal as Linux." Do you agree with that?
Wow. I would say that it's hard to say I agree with that because it's so new, but I mean what it purports to do, what it can do as it develops out, just kind of the expandability and flexibility of it, and what it I imagine would be. I haven't installed it on my machine. Like I'm still a little hesitant to install it on my machine because I don't want to put everything into a sudden, bad state and risk losing anything. I know what this about myself. I'm smart enough to like totally be dangerous with my stuff,
Yeah.
not smart enough to avoid that. But I think that what it promises and what I've heard about it, what people have been able to do to it, people who are much braver than I, kind of sets a scene for a really interesting future where these things are our true agents that can command these things in a way that our current kind of agentic infrastructure sometimes promises but doesn't deliver on. I don't know.
Right.
I do feel like it's overstating it, but at the same time, I understand that it's a pretty darn big deal, and that's why people are responding to it so wildly.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nvidia was a big deal. I don't know what their stock's doing right now. Let's see. NVDA. That's down a little bit. The market didn't go crazy for it, but I think there's even with $1 trillion revenue, which was an odd promise for a CEO to make. I'm guessing a lawyer somewhere in the back was cringing.
You sure you want to do that? You sure you want to go there?
but it was, as always, it's just fascinating.
Yep. And I don't know, it might be done now, GTC. I mean, that was Monday, right? It's Thursday now. I'm sure the event is probably winding down. I know a bunch of our, a few of our friends were there. If I was in town, I probably would have been
I would love to
at least go for a day to check it out, but I had to miss it this time around. Maybe next time. Thank you for watching and for summarizing. That was better than any of the notes that I took. That's for sure. Also, big thank you to our amazing patrons. Patreon.com/AI Inside Show. Y'all make the world go spin around on this show, and we can't thank you enough for that. Thank you to Chris Houston and Daily Tech News Show. Yes, DTNS is a patron of our Patreon, so we appreciate them spreading the love a little bit. Also want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this episode. That is Area. Area is fantastic. Area is an agentic platform that just allows you to get really granular and set up all of these agents and bring in your MCP tools and create this architecture that is just really super compelling. The more you use it, the more your imagination runs wild. So it's definitely worth checking out. And AI shouldn't be limited to just your most technical team members. With Area, everyone gets a seat at the table. So you've got your business teams, you got your operations, your engineering. Everybody gets to check out these tools, the no code, low code, and pro code approaches of the platform. So it really does make it very easy for employees at any skill level, right? If you're just learning how all this works, all the way up to being super proficient, you can just do some wicked, crazy, cool things and start using AI in very practical, very meaningful ways. And that means that like your marketing team, they can automate their workflows. If you have analysts at your company, they can move faster doing what they do. Your developers can go even deeper than you're going to be able to, of course. That's the power there. All inside a single environment that's built for collaboration and security, built for sharing across teams and all that stuff. So instead of AI living off in silos, Area helps you spread it across your organization in a way that's manageable. And even the people working in my garage and doing some construction agree. They like it too, apparently. If you hear them, my apologies. More innovation, more productivity, and fewer roadblocks to get started. So if you want AI to work for your whole team, not just a handful of specialists, Area is built exactly for that. And you should really check it out for yourself. Learn more and get started for free today at area.com. And I'll spell that for you because it's not as it sounds. It's AIRIA, area.com. and check it out. You can kind of start, getting in the sandbox and seeing how it all works, and start to get a sense of how the agentic system and all the building blocks and all the different models that they have available. It just makes a lot of sense once you're in there. It's very visual. I'm a visual person. It's really great. So area.com, and we thank them for their support of the AI Inside podcast. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back, and we got a bunch of cool stuff to talk about. A little Meta, a little OpenAI, a little Val Kilmer. You probably didn't see that one coming, but it's coming up here in a moment. All right, so we got Meta. I feel like this is a story that seems to come up pretty often these days. Planning to lay off another 20% of its workforce, 79,000 person workforce, 20%. That's a lot of people. Is this the year of efficiency? Remember, continued. I feel like, wasn't that 2022? That was a long time ago, but I feel like we're still in the year of efficiency for Meta.
So let me find some numbers here. So Benedict Evans did some calculations. And he said Meta ended 2019, that is to say pre-pandemic, with 45,000 employees. Hired 27,000 across 2021, 2022. Did an 11K, now I expect you all to do the math by the end of this, 11K layoff in 2023, but still ended the year up by a net of 15K. Okay, you got there so far? Cut another 20K in 2023, added 12K back by the end of 2025, bringing it to 79K. We started this story with 45K.
Okay.
And if it now cuts 20%, that's about 16K. That'd bring it back to the mid-2020 numbers.
Okay. All right.
It would also mean, says Ben, that Meta had laid off more people since 2019 than the company actually employed then.
Oh, boy. Wow, that's an interesting comparison.
He concludes, everyone overhired in the pandemic, but this seems careless.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Jack Dorsey, getting rid of, what was it, 20%, 40% of his company. But he did overhire. Yeah, he did an overhire as well. And certainly Meta overhired, went nuts. No fun to be one of those 20% of people.
I mean, and that's a lot of people. It's crazy to shuffle.
I think there's major desperation at Meta. I think
kind of feels that way.
Yeah,
it feels very, very sporadic and very, stop go. And I mean, just days ago, Meta had announced that it was shutting off Quest VR access to Horizon Worlds, which doesn't, in the context of this, is kind of feels insignificant. And actually, they walked it back. Bosworth yesterday basically said, "Oh, actually, no, we're not going to do it for the time being." So maybe they got enough pushback, but I think it's significant in the sense that they had a real strong idea of what they wanted the company priorities to be. They went down that direction.
They changed the name of the company.
They changed the name of the company to it, and now they're shifting directions, and they've got their massive hiring spree with super intelligence, yet they're laying off 20% over here and that direction. And
Alexander Wang was going to be in charge of everything. Now there's been a reorganization, so he's only in charge of this group, and that group alone is losing 600 people, and he's trying to put a happy picture on that. And people have been complaining about him as a bad young manager. The whole metaverse strategy is obviously cooled at the minimum, if not dying. What are you going to do? Change the name of the company next to Molt? Right? They buy Molt Book, which they're buying nothing.
No, they're going to change the name of the company to Claw. Yeah.
Who isn't going to? Yeah.
What is the current name that
and
you
so,
can hop on the bandwagon?
And they delayed because they delayed their models. Clearly, is an admission that they're not there. So yeah, it feels like, is this the new AOL?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It is very interesting. They also actually along these lines have the avocado model, which was their next flagship model that they were supposedly working on. and had plans to release, possibly even by now. Apparently, that's delaying to May, which isn't too far from now, but they're basically saying like it's not up to snuff. It's not up to par with some of the others that are, all the others that are out right now. They're all playing a game of what is the game where they all want to, stay on top? Is it? I don't know. It's like they won't release their model until they know for sure that they have that 2 weeks where they can say, see, we're topping the benchmarks before they get ousted. But I think what's interesting about that story is that there's even talk that they're thinking about or considering licensing Gemini inside of Meta to stay competitive in the meantime.
Apple and Meta both licensed Gemini. That's fascinating.
I mean, that's a bit of an admission if that happens.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Well, I think there's other paradigm shifts going on, right? And we'll get to this in a second with OpenAI. Everybody has Anthropic jealousy.
Yes.
Because it has this B2B strategy, right? Mm-hmm. And then we also have the scale versus world models balance going on. A paper that I read this week that was fascinating by 4 authors, including Jan LeCun, challenged this notion of AGI. Yay, I always get happy when that happens. Somebody challenges it, arguing that human intelligence is the wrong goal and general intelligence is BS. That even people don't have a general, even though, yes, we can learn things, we don't have general intelligence. We can be good at, every one of us is good at some stuff and crappy at other things.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And we're all crappy at chess compared to the machine now. And he has this wonderful argument in there that if you had one model try to do protein folding, but also required it to do everything else, including folding laundry, it's clearly going to be less than a model that only does protein folding. And so besides world models, he's arguing for specialized models. He's arguing for not being this general, do everything, huge, gigantic model. And he just has a new version of his JEPA out, where he's trying to get to this idea that it doesn't predict pixels, it doesn't predict text, it starts to understand concepts in the video. That's a chair, this is what a chair does. Right? So my point is, that's a paradigm shift. Yep. And even DeepMind, even Demis Hassabis, thank you. DeepMind's been all into the scale thing, and they're starting talking world models. Jan is obviously fully on your world models. Fei-Fei Li raised a lot of money for world models. So that's happening. So what's going to happen to Meta and Microsoft and OpenAI, as we'll get to in a second, in that world where they're so committed to one way of thinking, and then, oops, there's some stuff happening over here. And it's going to be fascinating to watch who keeps up.
Yes, indeed. I'll be curious to see if this whole Gemini thing happens. I feel like
that's
that would
really
be
interesting.
Really telling development if that were to happen. And I know that the news about this was that it would be a temporary use, but I wonder if that would end up being the case.
Well, it's not unlike, where was it here? I had so the Wall Street Journal did a story. Apple's cheap AI bet could pay off big. What the iPhone maker has that others lack is unparalleled customer base. Okay, we know that. That's the same as Google too. So what they're arguing basically is instead of investing all this money, it says that has Apple fumbled the AI revolution? Not at all. It is making a cold-eyed bet that the most frenzied build-out in the history of American capitalism will produce inadequate results. So they're arguing here that there's a wisdom to holding back. Now, Meta has already invested too much. They invested $800 billion or whatever it is in
they
Metaverse.
They push their chips in the center.
They're pushing these huge data centers and all of that stuff. So they're out there. Their money is already spent on these bets. But Apple isn't. And in either case, using Gemini is not unwise. You give your customers what they want for the best of what you have now in a game of leapfrog. Okay.
Totally. Yeah. But if it ends up being a big thing, will you wish you had gone all in?
That's the question.
Before, that really is the other side.
You also got to ask where your financial strength is. And in the case of Apple, it is the journal's right. It's with their customer base and the lock in there. In the case of Google, I would argue the same thing, though they are investing. I don't think Meta has strong lock-in. And it doesn't have that overall view of the customer that it tried to have. To
No.
be the everything platform.
I
Microsoft,
think
one could
you're
argue,
right.
does have some of that, but it's their own audience. I mean, I'm not a Microsoft user, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I know a lot
yeah.
of people who are, and
I know a lot of people who are. I
ecosystem,
certainly,
so-
yeah. Even on this trip, I met at least a couple of people who were hardcore as far as that's concerned.
You looked at their
yeah.
Windows machine with empathy. Is that what it was?
No, I just noticed. Everybody has their preferred method and their preferred
Yep.
approach, and Copilot is never on my radar because I don't have Windows, Microsoft machines.
Right.
But it was interesting to just be with someone who did. That was her approach. That was her style, and kind of learn a few things or two. When I think of Meta's AI, I don't think of the affinity aspect of
No,
Meta
I don't.
AI.
I agree, but that's because we
there's
don't
affinity
use
for
it.
others.
I mean, Microsoft.
I mean, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just like when I think about like what I would use all of them for. The only reason I ever end up using Face or Meta AI is because I happen to be wearing their smart glasses.
Yeah.
Like I
True.
would never. It never occurs to me to open up Meta AI and use it for a particular thing. And I also don't hear people talking about that. It's just not part of that conversation. So I wonder how much that's actually happening.
Before Gemini got as broadly offered as it is now, for about, I would say honestly, no more than 3 weeks, I would regularly open Meta AI. It was just easy. Meta.ai, boom, I ask my question, I get it, I ask for a definition, I ask for something else. I got the same basic service I could get from any of them. And I tended to use it oddly more than OpenAI.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
But that went away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't see any
Shuffles
integration of the integration that there is of AI into Facebook sucks because it's AI made pictures and videos trying to fool you. It's crap.
Right. Meta did, acquire Manus, so they've got that going for them. Maybe that ends up being a part of it.
Though China's not happy about that, so who knows what happens next there.
Yeah, who knows what happens there? Yeah, that's a good point. I think Manus even released. We don't have it in the rundown, but like a My Computer.
Yes.
Everybody's now doing their tendrils into the computer, for the on-device stuff, and Manus is doing that as well, which means Meta is doing that because Meta does officially own Manus now.
I think so,
right?
yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Well, and then you've got OpenAI, which, as you alluded to, OpenAI shifting. Well, there's a few things happening with OpenAI right now that we can talk about. First of all, there's Fiji Simo, who calls out side quests in OpenAI's strategy and basically says like, hey, we need to focus on our core business and not do all of these side quests. I don't know what that actually refers to because OpenAI is constantly releasing things. So what are the non-side quests? Is that coding? Is that their standard LLM approach?
Is it Johnny Ive?
Is it the hardware? I don't know. It kind of feels like a side quest potentially.
Yeah, it does.
At this stage, it certainly does.
I interpret this as Anthropic envy.
Yes,
I think this is
I think so.
coding and B2B. Even as OpenClaw takes us to B2C in a whole new world and it operates so quickly, where OpenAI could have been in a better position in a way because it has a bigger consumer presence of mind. But now they're going to push into coding and enterprises because that's where Anthropic is succeeding.
Well, and they also just made an acquisition or announced an acquisition along that line as well. Sorry, let's see here. Nope, that's wrong. There we go. Astral. OpenAI acquiring Astral, which is a service that's all about Python development and folding that into Codex. And I think this is exactly what you're talking about, right? Like there is a lot of Anthropic envy in the realm of in the AI world right now because Anthropic's getting the enterprise deals. Anthropic's coding kind of integrations and infrastructure is really impressive and accessible, very accessible. And I think OpenAI wants a piece of that. So this Astral acquisition certainly brings them a bit closer to Anthropic and even Cursor, which if you're watching the video version, I kind of jumped the gun on the Cursor news, which they also announced an updated Composer 2 coding model. So a lot of code focus right now, which I think you're absolutely right, which is feels very reactive to the fact that Anthropic's getting a lot of this right, getting a lot of these deals, and they all want a piece of the pie.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Do we think that ChatGPT is going to be able to, or OpenAI is going to be able to pull that off with ChatGPT?
I think that there's the level of the desperationometer. We should patent that. Right?
Desperationometer.
So if it's 0 to 10, right?
Yeah.
Nvidia is a 1 because people were starting to say, "Oh, well, what are they going to do about inference?" Well, they solved that. So, but they responded. So there was a little bit of desperation there, but handled.
Yeah.
The Groq purchase, the Groq deal. Over on the other end, I wouldn't put Meta at a 10, but I might put them at a 9.
Yeah. I mean, they're up there. Yeah.
All right. So in the desperationometer, where would you put OpenAI?
Desperation. Yeah, they got to be somewhere in the middle. Although I don't know that they would admit that they're.
Oh, they're not going to admit at all. I think they're higher than that. I think they're 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Wow. Okay, that high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, there is. It often comes back around to kind of the moat conversation, which is that Google has a solid moat. Some of these other competitors have plenty of other things to fund themselves through. Meanwhile, you've got OpenAI really driving its business by acquisitions, by announcing new things, and maybe this is what Fiji is talking about. But what do they have to fall back on that isn't? This has to work.
The other problem is I don't think anything has happened with their Stargate project. Right, which is going to be the $500 billion effort. It was going to include Oracle, which is its own desperation and trouble. SoftBank, which is in its own trouble because of where they're investing. And so OpenAI has to go out and basically buy on the open market, where they, rather than owning it as much, they've got problems, I think, because they're so into scale. Scale's going to solve it all. Scale's going to get us there. They believe in AGI, blah, 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 blah. They're committed to that path. And I don't think it's an economically good path.
What do you think about their adult mode? Do you think this is the path to, to success?
No. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I think this is, I mean, are we actually going to see this roll out? Internally, they've got safety experts that are saying, like, hey, wait a minute. These things can be somewhat difficult, of course, or not difficult, but dangerous.
Yes.
They're citing a case where a user forms a bond with the chatbot. Apparently, there was a case where that ultimately led someone to take their own life. I think this ties in with what you and I have talked about plenty of times before, which is it's not always necessarily the direct fault of the bot itself, but maybe the kind of the mental mindset of the user who is using it. So how many times is this happening? I don't know. But do I think that OpenAI leveraging an adult mode is like a savior for its company? No, I don't. I mean, has it been a boon for Groq, for XAI? I know it's gotten headlines, but I don't know. No one in my life, or like in my life, is talking about how that's the one that they use because of that feature. But maybe you just don't talk about that feature if that's what you use.
That's true. I mean, I go back to my history lessons here. Gutenberg, watch out. Is that when print came along, and it wasn't just scribes. Silent reading came along, and silent writing came along, and thus heretical writing and pornography came along. If you had to dictate your thoughts to a scribe, you were unlikely to dictate porn, or unlikely to dictate that which would get you burned at the stake. Either might. But once you could produce and consume silently, that led to porn. People are going to use this anyway for this stuff. I just don't see OpenAI making this a business option. It's something that Elon Musk and Groq would do just to be provocative. Let him do it.
Yeah, well said. Totally. You put words to kind of what I was having a hard time articulating. An AI generated version of Val Kilmer. So Val Kilmer, movie star, famous movie star who passed away very recently. God, when did he pass away? Last year, maybe even. He was in line to
April
star
1 last year.
Okay, yeah, so almost exactly a year ago. He was set to star in an indie film called As Deep as the Grave. Man, the tie-in of the name of the film with the topic of this story is eerily coincidental. But they had him lined up to play a role that Val Kilmer was apparently very passionate about. It tied into his background, I think he has Native American heritage, so it was kind of a tie into that. But he passed away before he could star in the film. Well, the filmmakers had shot all of this footage, it basically shot the film, and what they didn't have was his role because he was not there to act in it. And they didn't have the money to hire someone new and roll new film to fill in all those pieces, nor did they want to because Kilmer wanted to be involved in this. So they went to Kilmer's estate, which is, his family, his son and daughter and a few others knew that Val Kilmer had a passion for this project. So they ended up ultimately greenlighting it and supplied images and video from throughout Val Kilmer's life for generative AI to train on. And, they're going to even include his damaged voice. What did he die from?
He said he got pneumonia, which I didn't know was that kind of a sudden thing.
There was some sort of condition tied to that, I think, but I can't recall off the top of my head. But anyways, he had his voice was very, very damaged from the health issues he had over the last couple of years. So they were going to integrate that into the generative
throat
models.
cancer. I'm sorry, throat cancer.
Throat cancer. Okay, yeah, there we go. And so anyways, they got the green light. And so Kilmer's going to be in a number of scenes. This isn't just like Carrie Fisher in a scene in The Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars, after she passed away. This is like, he's like a supporting character throughout. So this will be a film with Val Kilmer, via generative AI. And I'm really curious to see how this goes down.
So what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, on one hand, like I'm not immediately, they checked in with the estate. The estate gave the thumbs up. Does that, line up with what Val Kilmer would have wanted? I mean, by all accounts, it sounds, at least reading through this article anyways, that Kilmer was really, really all in on this. So
and the estate does speak for you when you're gone. The
estate speaks for you.
Deputize them. Yeah. So if
will
the
the quality
out,
be
who am I to
good?
say no?
Yeah.
Right. But I can imagine a lot. But it puts actors in a really odd spot because they all want to object to using AI to replace them. Mm-hmm. But here is, it's Val Kilmer's dying wish. You really want to be against that? Huh?
Yeah. Right.
So it creates a fascinating precedent in this debate.
Does.
Do you have to die to be recreated in AI, or can you just make up a new character in AI? Obviously, there's all kinds of variations there. And we're going to see
all
happen.
those things.
We're absolutely going to see it happen.
We'll see it all play out. Yeah.
It's going to start with extras. It's going to start with commercial actors.
Yeah.
But
starring
lead role, I don't know what it's going to look like.
That's what I mean. Like it's a major role with a very recognizable actor. So if there's a reason for people to look and find the tells that make them hate that this happened because, oh my God, it looks awful or whatever the case may be, this has all the signs that would point them in that direction, right? Like it's a recognizable person. So you're going to know whether it feels on or off.
You're going to be sitting in there. You got a suspension of disbelief is the heart of all movies, all art. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So you're sitting in that movie theater and this is the case. It's not Val Kilmer. I think as a movie goer, you're going to be constantly judging and looking for those tells.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think you're absolutely right. Going into a film like this, I'd be less focused on the story when he's on the screen and more focused on looking for the tells or does it feel on or does it feel off or whatever. Yeah, but I'm curious. I'm definitely curious to see how it all plays out. I don't get the ick factor from the estate, / permission perspective. Although no one truly knows whether he would have been okay with this specifically, but I kind of feel like they did their due diligence there, and it feels okay there. What is the difference between Val Kilmer as a virtual actor in a film versus the millions of CGI characters that we've seen before?
Right.
They just weren't meant to be humans that were highly high quality reproductions of a human being. That I guess is the difference. Will we be at a point, and are we at that point, to where that uncanny valley is no longer a thing?
Yeah, could be.
I don't know.
It very well could be. And look at the earlier story about NVIDIA and their new
yes,
whatever they call it. I can't remember the brand.
Totally, their GPU. Yeah.
Thank you. We also have the case of Michael Jackson at the Billboard Music Awards as a hologram. What year was this?
That was
2014.
Yeah, that was a long
years
time
ago. Right? Mm-hmm. But that's a little different because then it's a hologram. It looks like a hologram, and it's meant to be a tribute to him, and you don't have to rest a plot and character on top of it. Mm-hmm. It's just let's remember Michael Jackson. What a cool way to do that. Okay, done.
Mm-hmm. Right? And he was on the large stage. It was easy to kind of like put him on this scale where he's this is a screenshot from the film. This is like the first released generative AI reproduction of Val Kilmer in this film. And so you can imagine these are going to be a lot of close-up shots. Mm-hmm. Let's just say there's going to be a ton of scrutiny on this.
Oh, yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of people who refuse to watch it specifically because it has anything to do with generative AI. Yeah, it'll be an interesting case to follow. That's, I think, what captured my attention on that one. And then we got Encyclopedia. There's not a whole lot to say here except Encyclopedia Britannica and Merriam-Webster. Oh, I can't show it because it's on Reuters and I don't have a subscription. They're accusing OpenAI of copying 100,000 entries in their GPT training. Get in line on
cannibalized that one. Britannica's web traffic.
Yes. Fabricating citations, offering incorrect citations.
OpenAI said our models empower innovation and are trained on publicly available data and grounded in fair use. I can imagine that, unlike the Anthropic bookcase, OpenAI can find one person inside the company who owns a subscription to Britannica Online and to Webster's Online.
Right.
And then that might do it in. The other thing is, and I have great respect for Webster's, Britannica's is outmoded. I was at an event many years ago.
That was a lot of the comments I saw, by the way, which is like, oh my goodness, they're still around.
They're still around, right? I was at an event many years ago at Harvard, where the then deputy editor of the New York Times, Jill Abramson, briefly editor, and Jimmy Wales were, and Abramson was giving you don't understand. This is during the Iraq War. You don't understand how expensive it is to have a Baghdad bureau and what the value of journalism, blah blah blah. And Jimmy, in his inimitable fashion, spoke up and said, nobody cares. Nobody thought that a whole bunch of amateurs could replace Encyclopedia Britannica. And they did. And so there's more value at Wikipedia than there is at Encyclopedia Britannica right now. It's outdated, it's small, it's limited, it's not as diverse. As another source, fine, it has value.
Right.
I'm certainly not saying it doesn't, it does. But there are other sources of information. It's not necessary. Dictionary, a lot of dictionaries. But there again, if somebody owns a copy of the Webster's Dictionary under the Anthropic decision, as long as they owned it legitimately and acquired it legitimately, cool. So I see it's the same as we haven't really talked about the Grammarly case where Grammarly.
Yes.
Did we talk about that?
Yeah, we didn't.
Because it kind of
I
fell
can't remember
in between.
if we did. I know I did on a show. I can't remember if it was on this show.
I think we did on this one. The brief of it is that Grammarly, without permission,
yes,
used we did. Okay, so used authors, and now you have one of the authors is making a big deal that she's filing a class action suit, and this is evil and awful. I think I did say this on the show. If Grammarly had just said, well, you should read Jay Rosen about this because he wrote something relevant and linked to it, it'd be like it'd be a smart search engine. They could have done it smartly, and they didn't. And they pissed off entitled, self-important writers. Okay, they did it stupidly. I agree. Is that worth the whole suit? Is that worth the revolution? I don't think so. The value of content as content, I wrote about this in the Gutenberg parenthesis, is diminished constantly. It was diminished before AI. AI diminishes it yet more. That's not where the value lies. It's not the idea of copyright was started by the industry of booksellers and publishers to create a marketplace for content, for text as a tradable asset. The whole metaphor of it is property, is an invention, and it doesn't have to be the way we look at it forever. So, yeah, I think Britannica, used to love you, babe, but good luck.
Yeah.
Your day is over.
Fortunately, it seems like time has kind of moved on.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that one. We have a YouTube channel. You go to youtube.com and search for AI Inside or AI Inside Show. You will find our channel, and you might want to do that because if you like listening to this podcast, well, you can get it with video and links and all that kind of stuff shown on the screen as well. So check it out. Also, our interviews are a heck of a lot of fun to watch. We know you enjoy listening to them, but you can watch them too.
We learn something in every one of them.
Indeed, we do. I'm going to take a quick break. Then we got a little speed round, a bunch of speed round items that we can blast through real quick. That's coming up here in a moment. All right, Google, little trifecta here. Google is rolling out personal intelligence features to all paid. Yes, it was for paid users, but now also all free users. So the personal intelligence features basically take aspects of your Google account, like your Gmail, your YouTube, your other things, your Google Drive, and all that stuff, and kind of integrates it into the or the Gemini experience. It is opt-in, and it's kind of granularly opt-in. Last I checked, so that you can say yes to this, no to that. I'm fine with maps being shared, but I don't want my drive to be shared, or however you want to focus that. But free users will be able to get that important context looped in if you choose. I find it to be useful sometimes. Not all the times, but sometimes.
Where I want to use it, of course, I'm going to whine. I can't use it, which is in Chrome.
Yeah.
But I
Someday.
did that whining last week. I'll spare you this week. I'll probably do
Someday,
it
I
again next
hope.
week.
Maybe you'll be able to ask Maps in a Google Maps update because that's on your smartphone. I'm assuming that no issues there. Makes it more conversational, so you can handle more complex, highly specific questions tied in also to some of your data, like using your reviews, your photos, your past activity. So you might find an updated version of that on your phone, at least, Jeff. At least there's that.
I use Waze. Now I got to remember to use Maps to try this out. Which do you use?
I use Maps.
You do?
Yeah, 100%. That's the app that I use. I haven't tested this out specifically, but yeah, that's my navigation app. I've tried Waze, and I always end up going, why am I using Waze? Like, what is the reason versus just using Maps?
I've been Waze from the beginning, and it just feels comfortable to me. So
I think it's an affinity thing. Like
is,
you're just used to what you are, and people who
it's gotten better.
into
If I want to
Waze-
ask it for a Starbucks on my way, it used to be neither could really do that. Now they're smarter at questions like that.
they're smarter. Waze might be better than Maps. Sometimes Maps end up not doing a great job with that.
Each
either,
gets screw up. One will say, "Oh, this is 3 miles away," and then it gives me a 30-mile route.
Yes.
How did it figure it was 3 miles away? But
Or you should go there. It's 3 miles away. Oh, wait a minute. It's back there 3
Yeah.
miles. I already passed it, instead of knowing smartly, like, I'm not going to turn around. Just give me the next one that's in front of me. Like, that's
Right.
a switch I need. Let's see here. And then Google also launched just today an update to its Stitch tool. And so this is basically, they've highlighted here vibe design. So this is all about UI design. And Stitch isn't, this is not a new design tool, but what they've done is they've taken, as they're doing with everything, bring in their AI native, kind of language conversational approach to UI design. So you can, design on a canvas, build software design prototypes, that sort of thing. You can vibe design, as it were. So I think developers will find that interesting. OpenAI, not a lot to say about this one, but released GPT 5.4 mini and nano. So yes, you can imagine they are smaller, they are faster, they're really tuned for, they're not meant to be best at everything. They're just meant to be ridiculously fast and inexpensive for developers to tap into. So
Duly noted on the record.
there you, there you go. Always something new. Let's see here. A U.S. appeals court has temporarily frozen a lower court order that blocked Perplexity from running its shopping agents on logged-in Amazon accounts. So Perplexity is, of course, pushing for a longer-term pause throughout the appeal of the lower court's decision. So there's that. I think for the time being, then I guess that means that you can use your Perplexity agent to put things into your Amazon Prime shopping cart until the next twist and turn happens.
And Amazon will make money from that? What's not to love?
I don't get it. Like, because they want you to use their thing. Because I don't know.
Yeah,
that's probably what that's all about. The AI darling Anthropic, Claude now auto-generates. Yeah, this time around, auto-generates interactive chats, diagrams, and other visuals now inside of the chat. So it detects when those methods actually make sense. Although as a user, you can request for those things to appear inside of your chat. You can edit them on the fly. Kind of makes those charts and those visual elements a bit more attached into the conversation, more transient, as compared to something like artifacts that are a bit more permanent. So that's one thing I really love about Claude. I love how visual it is. I'm a visual learner, and it does a really great job. When I say put this into a visual presentation or put this into a PDF, that looks really nice or whatever, it doesn't get it perfect. None of them do, but I think it does a really great job, and it really helps my brain to learn some of the things that I'm using it for,
And
that's
it's kind of miraculous still. It is pretty damned amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that's all it takes. And then finally, Microsoft is launching Copilot Health, consumer Copilot feature that is going to take in medical records and wearable data and deliver health advice. So they're framing this as a path to medical, quote, superintelligence. Medical superintelligence. Now there's going to be all different types of superintelligence. Initial U.S. rollout with paid plans coming in the future. Would you trust a Microsoft Copilot Health? That is the question.
Well, at the same time, we should mention very quickly that Google had a health service that was giving you advice from other people, just plain old people on Reddit. They wisely killed it this week.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah, wanting to. No, thanks. No. The old joke. Do you want a citizen surgeon? Do you want a Reddit surgeon?
No, definitely not. That sounds like a horrible idea.
Let me mention, I just happened to be scrolling by my Facebook. Alan Rusbridger, former editor of The Guardian, puts up a picture from a charity shop. The full set, 24 volumes of the 1920s edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
And the store labels it perfect for interior design project. $100 for the set.
So they've just become visual relics.
Or AI company, you can buy it and then just scan it and it's yours.
And then you're sold. You're solid. Yeah, you've covered your bases. There you go. It only cost you $100. But now what do you do with it?
Television,
you throw away the books,
right?
What
the hell?
Yeah. So, Jeff, normally we would say go to jeffjarvis.com and we still do. Go there.
Yeah,
you can find all of Jeff's books. But you've got some book news to announce.
I got something
new.
What
do you want people to know?
So if you go to my Medium page, you'll see that I'm announcing a new book series relevant to the show called Intelligence, AI, and Humanity. Working with Bloomsbury Academic, which is the publisher of my three of my books, Gutenberg and Magazine and Hot Type. And now I'm humbled to say that I'm going to edit a new book series. The idea here is it's not about the technology of AI. It's about having writers from many disciplines come in and reflect on how AI reflects on society. And we have the first three authors signed up. I'm delighted to say that one is Ruman Chowdhury, who was the head of ethics at Twitter until she had the honor of being fired by Elon Musk. She worked for the Senate. She is an academic, a political scientist. She's just doing amazing work. She's going to write a book asking basically what is intelligence, which is the perfect beginning of the series. Because
Yeah,
what AI
great.
does is make us ask those kinds of questions.
For
Dr.
sure.
Charlton McElwain, who's the vice provost and a professor at NYU, author of the wonderful book Black Software, is going to write a book surprisingly optimistic about race and AI and how AI, this goes back to our conversation earlier about the democratization that comes along with OpenClaw, might offer Black America a chance to find some retribution for the technological oppression that's occurred before. And then Dr. Matthew Kirschenbaum, now at the University of Virginia, formerly University of Maryland, wrote an essay that I've linked to before here called Textpocalypse on the Atlantic. He's turning that into a book
Yes.
about our relationship to text. So those are the first 3 books that we'll have, being that it's publishing. It won't come out till next year, but early next year. And then I'm going to be looking for more ideas and more authors to come to me for things like wondering, what does AI tell us about our views of learning? What does it tell us about our sense of creativity? What does it tell us about God and thinking that we can create life? So I want to look at a lot of opportunities to talk to interesting authors from around the world, diverse authors who with diverse perspectives and from many disciplines. And it's going to be fun. I am humbled. Here is an academic publisher, and I'm a fake academic. But my editor and publisher, Horace Nakvi, called one day and said, I think I want to start a book series about AI. You want to edit it? And I immediately said, yes. So
Heck yes.
now, knowing little, I'm on 2 AI podcasts and have a book series on AI, so I'm just living the AI.
This is how you continue to learn and grow and everything. I think you're the perfect person for this. I can't wait to see it. That's awesome. That's awesome. So if people want to follow or find this detail, they go to Medium and search Jeff Jarvis, or how do they find
you go to
that?
Medium, and then there's a link there to the Bloomsbury page, and just watch the space. You know me, I'll be plugging away, always be selling.
Yeah, of course.
So we're going to do some events later, which might involve Jason.
Okay.
We're talking about that, and so just watch the space, and we'll tell you all about it.
Love it. Love it. Everybody stay tuned for that. Excellent stuff. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yet another project. I love it.
Yep.
You can go to AIinside.show for all of the links to everything that we do for this show, all the ways to subscribe, reviews. In fact, we do have even more reviews that have appeared. That's amazing,
Yay,
y'all.
thank you, folks.
You've
Thank
been
you,
busy.
thank you.
I didn't even know that 2 more came through. Oh, so
Jason and
great.
Jeff cover relevant and timely topics each week with clear and thoughtful discourse. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
I can't read the name because it's gray on gray.
BKP 2600, Hans Zuman. We've got Jeffrey Maricini, familiar name there, Tom Ruffley, and the Apple Loyalist. And I think that is, let's see here. Oh, that one's a little bit older. So yeah, so Tom, yes, excellent.
Thank you, folks.
Tom, Jeffrey, Hans, and BKP 2600. Thank you so much for the reviews. That really, really helps out. And I appreciate that you did that. So thank you. Patreon.com/AI Inside Show. If you want to support us on a deeper level, that's how you can do it there. We do have some amazing executive producers, Dr. Do, Jeffrey Maricini, previously mentioned, Radio Asheville 103.7, Dante St. James, Bono de Rick, Jason Knifer, Jason Brady, Anthony Downs, Mark Starcher, and Karsten Samachki. Some amazing patrons who, all of you are amazing. These folk go just above and beyond. So thank you so much for your continued support. And finally, thank you so much to Victor Bognat and Daniel Croft for video support behind the scenes.
Thank you.
It just really helps me out
Jason's
in my
a busy guy.
life. Oh boy, sometimes too busy, but I appreciate Victor and Daniel deeply. So, and I appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you. Learn a lot doing the show with you.
Same back,
and
boss.
Yeah, we'll see y'all next time in another episode of AI Inside. Take care, everybody. Bye.